executive session. Is that correct, Ryan? Or
Two.
two?
One would be the pending litigation against the town, Thomas Lilly versus
Thomas Smith.
I'm sorry, Thomas Smith Chief versus the town of Lewiston, and then an executive session to discuss the ongoing contract negotiations with the police department.
And if I could, I'd like to move my agenda items up as I have to leave a little bit early, possibly after the audit payment.
And I got to add on mine, HVAC for the senior center.
Now, I know Councilman Bax needs to leave early. Should we go into executive session now to discuss the matters, or and come out of it and back to the meeting?
It's up to Mr. Bax. I don't know how long he can stay. I don't know. If
I've
there's
got
some-
40 minutes.
If there's some items you can get done beforehand.
Maybe if you would like, possibly, like we can move to approve the agenda and then maybe go into executive session after my agenda.
Okay.
So make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resident statements. I'm sorry, thank you, Mrs. Warren.
I have to do everything around here.
That's why we love you.
But you pay me. Rosemary Warren, 584 Courtesy. Only have a short statement. Have not forgotten about the Cold War veterans. Still want you to someday work on exempting them, giving them the property exemption tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Is that on?
Okay.
Michael,
Well-
Mike, will you check the mic to see what's on?
Well, we have nobody else that wants to speak, so we can move on.
Well, they might at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Moving on to department head statements. We can start with Chief Prevett.
Just as I brought up at the department head meeting, if we could consider maybe doing some training. I think we should incorporate some training for town employees for active shooter. And however the board would want to configure that or schedule that. Be happy to help it to participate in that.
For town hall?
For town hall, for the employees, any other employees, maybe the water department as well, anybody that is someone that's in offices or office space.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Do you think it'd be advantageous to do it at each of the various sites?
Either that, or we talked about it at the meeting, maybe doing it here and getting everybody together, or we could do it individually, it's whatever the board prefers.
So I would prefer you to do it at the sites because then you can do an observation of things that may need to be adjusted, modified for the safety of the employees, as you did in your own facility.
Yeah, that would be fine, whatever, like I said, whatever the pleasure of the board would be.
And I also want to, since we're on that topic, I know I talked to Tim Masters about it. You know, Tim goes to a lot of residents that possibly could have an officer safety for the law enforcement field where he doesn't know in regards to that. So I talked to him about possibly doing some communication when they go to visit some sites to check with you to make sure, so we can incorporate that into the training. as
Yeah, we
well.
do that, as a matter of fact, with the public now and with businesses, anybody who calls and wants us to come and do an assessment, we do it for nothing, we come and assess, but yeah, we'd be happy to do that with anything with
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Tim Masters?
I talked to Dave Train, and I didn't realize he wasn't going to be here tonight, but it's just for information, something needs to be worked on. He asked me to go to a drainage problem tonight on Adams Circle, and one of the problems that he has and that the town has as a whole is a lot of things were done back, I call it the Wild West days, where nobody really cared about easements. It was a different time, and he's having trouble figuring out when he can go in and clean out a town drainage ditch on private property when there is not an easement in place, but it is part of the town drainage system. So I guess what I'm asking is if maybe Ryan could post some type of a policy, that would be like a guidance document for him, where we could address some issues that are not just for the benefit of one person, but for the benefit of the whole community where there's a problem, but there might not be necessarily an easement on that town drainage ditch.
Absolutely, I would agree with that, especially, I'll receive phone calls that the town's doing private work on somebody's private property, and it's not the case.
Correct.
So, yeah, I would absolutely support that.
My recollection is years ago, we used to get a temporary easement from the property owners, immediately impacted by it, that would help a whole area, but you had to go across someone's private property. So if that has gone by the wayside, maybe we could resurrect it.
Bob Landon's got a,
Yeah, Tim, what I can tell you from historical practices is that in the past, the town would say if it was a drainage problem, and it was just between two neighbors, and it's just those two individuals, then it's a private property issue. However, if the ditch between those two neighbors' houses drains 20 neighbors to the south, then that's for the greater good, and it would become eligible for work on that property. It was still done with what they used to call a ditch card, for, essentially having the homeowner sign off to allowing the town to get on the property to clean this ditch on this day type of thing. So there is, I can explore that with you more if you'd like after the meeting.
I think Dave wouldn't have a problem with the ditch card scenario, but the town had moved away from it in the recent past.
Right.
So, and if that is something that everybody's comfortable with, I'm sure he would go back to that system.
okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I think the policy, though, that you're talking about would be when the ditch cards were issued. So it's just not going to be issued for any two residents that have an issue between the two of them. It would be only issued in cases where it was to the greater good of the town.
Right. Okay, Jackie, I know you're on the agenda, I believe. Deputy Supervisor Conrad, anything? Nothing? Jeff Ritter.
I would just like to say that the town is doing some root removal above the hill on Kenneth, Barton, and Fort Gray. We're injecting a non-hazardous chemical into the sanitary sewer to kill a lot of root problems we have there. So in case anybody's wondering why a truck is driving up on their lawn or off the side of the street, that's why.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bob Lannon?
On the agenda.
Okay. Ryan, anything? No. Mike Townsend?
No.
Nothing? Dave Train couldn't be here tonight, Mike Dashno couldn't be here tonight, Donna?
Yes, I have a couple things.
Okay.
In front of you, I gave you the contract to auctions engineer. It will expire on July 12th. It was good for 2 years, so I'm just asking the board if they would like to me to reach out to them and do for another 2 years for auctions.
For Auctions International?
Auctions International, yes.
Well,
A lot of work.
Seems to have worked out well.
Yes, I believe we had success with them. Anybody have any problems? Mike, did you have any problems did you use them?
Yeah, I've used them.
Right.
Yeah, they seem good.
Yeah, Dave's used them, Mike Dashno's used them. Jeff, have you used them? Any issues whatsoever?
No, not at all.
Donna, any issues that you know of? Okay.
I make a motion to renew the contract for the
Second.
2-year period.
There was a motion, a second, any
Subject,
questions?
subject to attorney approval.
Right. Okay.
Donna asked to reach out for first to see if anything's changed before we
Okay.
approve it.
Okay, so we should wait till you
I
talk.
can get another copy and then.
My motion is subject to attorney approval, so.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right,
Make a second motion to authorize the supervisor to sign said contract if it meets attorney approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Also, I placed in front of you, at this time, right now, when we hold a dog that has been picked up, the Ag and Markets law and the town code states that we keep them for 5 days. At this time, I'm asking to be able to work with Brian to move ahead with our local law regarding the dogs, to remove some of the fees, change some things, and change the time to 3 days. I'm finding that a majority of the dogs that we are collecting, we know there is no owner. So to hold them for 5 days before they can go to the SPCA to find a forever home, they're sitting there for no reason. So according to Ag and Markets, we can change it as long as we change it in our local law.
And we're working with a no-kill kennel, right? Or-
Yes, here.
So that's that is kind of insignificant to us, then it's not gonna hasten their
Right.
risk, if you
And,
will.
and not that where they are is bad, but they're there for extra days for no reason, because like I said, we run into circumstances where we know there's no owner, and we're just holding on to them.
That makes sense.
And if by chance there was an owner,
We
they
would
could
hope that they would
go through the SPCA. Yeah, but if they did, they still could get their dog through the Erie
Yes.
County SPCA.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a really beautiful facility.
Yeah,
You're,
yeah.
you're just asking to work with Ryan
So we're
to
trying to go ahead and change the local law for that.
put that up for old business.
Yeah, at some point, you would actually get a local law to be introduced, and as long as the board, it's something that the board would be interested in moving forward on.
Okay, so no action is being taken tonight on it. Okay.
And I just see under pending, we do have the bingo inspector. So I just want the board to be aware that I have advertised one more time in the Sentinel and the Gazette for both the dog control, temporary dog control officer and the bingo inspector. I guess if no one applies and these positions aren't filled, we'll have to discuss where we go from there.
Okay,
I just wanted you to be aware that I'm advertising one more time.
thank you.
Donna, is it possible you can call the New York State Employment Agency in Niagara Falls? Because they may be missing this ad and they could just say, we might have somebody.
You have to be a resident?
No, it's a part-time.
It's temporary part-time, I think that's the problem. Okay, thank you very much. Approval of the meeting minutes, town board work session.
Move for approval as printed.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Audit payment, Councilman Bax.
Make a motion to approve the regular abstract of claims numbered 1,360 to 1,531, and recommend the payment of in the amount of $269,998.45, plus a post audit of $37,475.98.
Second.
With a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
And then if it's okay, can I do my agenda items now?
Sure.
There are two different requests. One is a request for an offset of a sump pump backup, and I'll deal with that one first. That is from Anne Marie Burns of 1001 North Hewitt Drive, who has written the town board requesting a concession on an excessive water bill. The amount is $754.09. Apparently the family that lives there, they're in their 90s and on a fixed income. And I've spoken with Mr. Ritter, who had indicated to me that we have a policy of a one excused bill. And that being said, I would make a motion that we credit that. Now, are we going to credit them for the excess, in excess of their normal bill, or are we crediting the whole amount?
No, it would just be their average amount is what they would pay.
Okay, so
For
they would-
sewer only, they still pay, they pay for the water, not the
Right.
sewer.
Very good. So I would ask for that credit.
Did you mention the reason for that dilemma?
Yes, the fact that it was in a stuck sump pump. Well,
They have a water-driven sump pump that goes on when the power goes out.
right.
And the valve stuck open and it kept running and running and running.
Yeah, unbeknownst to them.
But they will have to pay for the once?
Yes, they'll pay for the water, it would be the sewer fee that would be waived, and it's a one-time, if it happened again, it would not be waived, and that is within our policy, correct, Jeff?
Yeah, we've done it before.
Right.
We've had to clamp down on it, and I think that's where the policy came from.
Right. It actually happened twice with the same person, so we only forgave it one time.
Right. So I make that motion.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
So
The
moved.
second item is from Helene Smith and Michael McGarvey from 458 Kenwood Drive, Lewiston. They had a 29-foot diameter pool, approximately 20,000 gallons, and they're asking for the sewer credit on those 20,000 gallons. They indicated that they were unaware that there were sewer charges and would like a credit. My understanding is that it does not fit our policy because there were no repairs. My understanding is that a receipt needs to be submitted and some backup documentation. I think this was just an initial filling of the pool. and not necessarily a repair.
It doesn't fit within the town policy and the sewer use agreement.
So that being said, I
Take no
would
action.
take no action.
Okay.
Unless someone else would like to discuss it, move it for
The only
discussion.
thing I would say is if they didn't put anything in there that they did have the liner replaced or anything, that they could resubmit it, but if it's just for a filling of the pool, it does not fit.
Yeah, so if there is documentation that would make it qualify for our
Jeff,
policy, I would.
Jeff, you'll take care of the
Yeah, I'll
communication?
reach out to them and see if they had worked out a liner.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is that it?
That's it for me, if you do that again.
Okay. I would ask for a motion to move into. You want to go ahead?
What's that?
Under yours, yeah. I apologize for bouncing around a little bit, but we have two councilmen that need to leave early. So we'll go to Councilman Morel if you wanted to go to the LMK Realty.
The planning board meeting in regular session on May 17th, 2018 reviewed a site plan for property owned by MLK Realty on the north side of North Ridge Drive, SBL number 101.12-1-21-41. Preliminary plat as articulated, the planning board recommends approval of the preliminary plat as articulated in the May 23rd, 2018 letter and compliance with the engineer's letter dated May 16th, 2018. I would like to make a motion to approve this.
Second for discussion.
A motion and a second. Go ahead on discussion.
Well, Rob, do we have to list everything for the record that is on that
Here.
document?
I talked to Ryan on that, and I think everything,
I think as long as we reference that letter, so it would be I'm sorry, I don't have it right.
the May 23rd letter.
The May 23rd letter from the planning board with their recommendation to approve the preliminary plat for this development, and then also complying with each of the conditions contained on that letter, in addition to complying with the engineer's letter dated May 16th, 2018.
Because in the past, that has been a little bit of a gray area, and that has caused us stress. So as long as this letter is part of the record, I'm satisfied.
So you're amending your motion, Rob?
Yes.
And it is it's a preliminary plat. I think the planning board had a little confusion in their language. It was a preliminary plat they were reviewing from the developer. So you're approving the preliminary plat. At this point, with those conditions, within 6 months of this approval under our code, the developer has to bring to the town board a final plat. Thereafter, there is a public hearing that the town board has to have on that within 45 days of the submission to the town board, and then they have to act on it after.
Okay.
I have one question. Tim, has the developer paid all the fees,
For Northridge Development, yes.
even the one?
Even though,
Well, wasn't there one outstanding, there was a conflict about whether he should pay or not?
that was a separate same developer, but different project. All the fees for Northridge Drive are paid. And I had email confirmation from the developer who's here tonight, who has agreed to pay the outstanding sewer fees for the other Legacy Drive project.
Great, thanks, Tim.
So when this comes back, Ryan, for final approval, all these conditions have to be corrected?
Well, that would be up to the town board, but certainly if those conditions are what you're requiring in the preliminary plat, I can't foresee the town board forsaking those conditions at the final plat stage.
Okay. Any other questions?
I want to make sure we have this clear. You're saying it's preliminary plat. So in Rob's motion, it would be the planning board's meeting at regular session reviewed the preliminary plat instead of site plan.
That is correct, and I believe that is what Mr. Morial.
And then further down, the planning board recommends approval of the preliminary plat.
With the following conditions.
Right, so it's the May 23rd letter with those amendments.
With those
Those
conditions.
corrections on the,
Because the letters reflect site plan.
That's correct.
I will, a friendly amendment for my second. Rob will make a friendly amendment for his motion. change the word site plan to preliminary plat on the two spots it's mentioned on the letter.
I'll make
That's how I
that,
make a motion.
right, we're changing the motion to preliminary plat.
As long as the letter matches our motion.
Yes. So we have a motion and a second. Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And now I'd ask for a motion to move to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, what are they contacting? You and I come up and say, and they say, I would, I'm in a farm, well, I was, well, I had to playing 7 and 9. That's right. I said, oh, 7, then you think they know how to play 13. We know how to play. There you go. But as I said, no, not there. My son called up the first time I went. He said, well, you're from Rochester. He said, Mother, how come 7 men you're playing? I said, downstairs, what's your dad was? No. Yeah, don't be afraid I'm liable, just give me a card. Leave him a note. Leave him a note. Sorry. See you. Yeah, right. He's a real nice guy. Been out the falls too after his very nice fella. So I go up to him and I said, I come all the time here. Who takes pictures of your He said, well, I am because I said I had my lifetime last year. My daughter, I'm from Taxpayers. My daughter said not to get out there. So I thought, where can I go? I love photography. I went down to the mall. We chatted a little bit.
Was I sitting here before?
We chatted about so I thought, we got he said he's going to California. That day, going to California, he'll be back in a year. The long one never. Okay, think about that, Bobby. There'll be no summer. TV dinners, night summer.
Yeah, I think that they said I do that all the time.
We've moved out of executive session and we're back into the regular town board meeting. We ended an audit payment under old business, board commission and vacancies. I do have one planning board individual that I'm talking to. Other than that, we don't have a submitted application. So there'll be no action there. I'm working hard on getting another planning board member. The change order for the ash tree removal. Mike Dashno's not here.
I don't have any.
Yeah, he didn't give me anything, so there's no more information on the ash tree removal. The light request, Big Vista North.
Yeah, we rejected that. We met our, what we needed to do back in 2014, and we told the builder that if he wants another light, he's responsible for the cost of the light, and the town would be liable for the lighting bill.
Okay.
So the letter was sent to them.
Okay, so basically
We're done.
They'll get done. We'll take that off old business. And then the senior center HVAC.
Okay. I've been working with Mr. Lannon on that. And, oh, it wasn't on there. I didn't see that on the agenda, but anyways. We decided we're going to go out to bid on a new unit, it's like kind that's up there. That's on, if I'm not mistaken.
Replacement in kind.
Okay. We have to post that, or is that something, we're not going to post it, we're going to...
Do the estimated construction costs, we will just solicit 3 quotes. It's well under the $35,000 fee.
And the whole deal on that is not to disturb the roof, or that's where the...
That would be a critical part of the design, would be to replace it on the existing curbing or work with a roofer to revise the curb, which of course will raise the price.
Okay, so to move forward on that, do I gotta make a motion to go ahead and, would I have to do a motion on that, to go ahead for
You can
bids?
do a motion to seek bids.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to seek bids for a new air conditioning rooftop mount for the senior center.
Second.
Any discussion on it?
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
And we'd like to get this done in the next week or two so we can okay it at our next meeting.
Yeah, it's been repaired as best as it can, but the concern is that it won't last. So that's the issue. Okay, thank you. Dog shelter.
We still don't have one.
It's pending.
It's pending. It's really just, we're holding off.
Right, okay. The direction you want to go.
Yeah, we have to determine which.
Okay, thank you. New business, residents, public correspondence.
Okay, the first piece of correspondence is, I will read it. We, the owners, taxpayers, and residents of Swan Road properties formally request that the zoning laws of the adjacent I-1 property located at 1495 Swan Road, Lewiston, New York, be upheld. The misuse and noise in the I-1 zones, namely gunfire, has become extremely unacceptable. This use and emissions of extreme noise from this property has become a quality of life and health issue to some of our residents, those who have PTSD, health issues, and other conditions. There are also several retired residents that are trying to enjoy their homes. 360-109 uses prohibits. 360-109B restricted states all uses of land, buildings, and structures or industrial processes that may be noxious or injurious by reason of the production or emission of dust, smoke, refuse matter, odor, gas, fumes, noise, vibration, or smaller substances or conditions are not permitted within the I-1 district. Please resolve this matter with a determination as soon as possible. We look forward to hearing from you so you may resolve this matter. And it's been signed by residents in the area.
And this is an issue I've discussed at length with Tim. Tim, do you want to touch base on this?
Yeah, we've talked about it, and it's not, in my opinion, it's not as crystal clear, cut and dry as it might seem on face value. And the reason I say that is, I think when I read the section that was cited there in the I-1 district, I think the intent of that law was for manufacturing or businesses, like for example, that be running loud machinery in the manufacturing process, something like that. And I agree that it is a quality of life issue, and I think it's more of a neighbor-to-neighbor dispute. I just don't think they're being neighborly, I guess is my opinion on it.
Uphold the laws, Tim.
Please,
It's a
hey,
law.
would you let Tim talk?
I have.
No.
So in my opinion, that code section is inapplicable. Do I agree that it is rude and not neighborly that they shoot over there whenever people are trying to enjoy their life? But, I mean, there's other people on Swan Road that shoot occasionally also. Do I shut everybody down for that? I don't think I have the liberty to necessarily do that. So I agree with their plight. I don't think I can justly cite that law to stop it.
Have you looked at it all, Ryan?
I guess Tim and I have discussed this as well, and we're on the same page. I believe that law was meant to reflect the industrial processes that would be happening on that property. So that section that's cited with regard to the noise, for example, if you're wrecking cars, the wrecker going all day, every day, making excessive noise. That's what that law is meant for. You also have insurmountable, in my opinion, Second Amendment issues if the town tries to stop someone from shooting their weapons legally under state law on their private property.
We have home rule law.
So, I mean, basically, if we told them they can't shoot there, we could tell people that they can't hunt on Swan Road, on their own property, or for shooting.
That's a misinterpretation.
No, I mean, it's the way it is,
No,
so.
it isn't. We have appeal process.
Okay,
Give us a
well,
written
hold on, at the end of
determination.
the meeting, you can get up
Give
and
us
say
a
your
written
piece.
determination, please.
Yeah, at the end of
Because
the
we
meeting,
have an appeal process.
at the end of the meeting, you can get up and speak. There's resident statements at the end, you can speak at the end, so, okay.
Is there an alternative site for this group?
Several. Yeah.
3 off Club, right down the street. Bonds Lake, another
You can
one.
say your piece at the end of the meeting, or you can leave. So, go ahead.
I'm not familiar with the exact site that we're referring to.
It's the fire department.
The fire department.
We're shooting up back in the fire
Were we
department.
not looking for a site further north?
No.
Did that fall?
No, that was for, no, that was for a training facility.
Training facility.
Yeah, so it had nothing to do with shooting. So, yeah, so it's a matter that we can look into and we'll provide an answer in writing. You feel comfortable with that, correct?
Ryan, review it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else, Donna?
We have another request. We have a resident requesting a street light at 5152 Military Road, a couple of houses down from the intersection of Military Road and Route 104. This part of the road is very dark. The road curves just past the property, and there are a couple of ditches to either side of the driveway. There have been a few incidences since we moved in a few weeks ago. A vehicle hit our mailbox, a service vehicle, and a motorist who needed to pull over almost pulled into the ditch to one side of the driveway. We are concerned about our children and teens, as well as neighbors who sometimes walk on the side of the street. They are requesting to please consider installing a street light at 5152 Military Road.
Okay, Donna, I'm the liaison for the lighting commission. What I will do is I will call for a meeting and we'll discuss it and I'll report to the board their opinion if one should be installed. I'll try and do it by the next meeting.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Rob.
The next issue was the water bill on North Hewitt that was already taken care of. And then the last item is just a notification that I Run Western New York just wants to notify the town board that they're working with the police department and the village of Lewiston, Art Park State Police. They will be hosting their 4th annual Mighty Fits 5K run in Lewiston on September 3rd.
September 20th, or I'm sorry, that was the day. it was
September
measured.
3rd, yeah. And they just want to let you, just notify you of that.
Yeah, it doesn't come anywhere out in the town at all, correct? It's entirely run into the village by the map they have.
Chief, you'll be able to put our electronic sign appropriately at the place to let people know about the event.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They have to meet with us anyway, so they'll have to meet with us to get, with me to get approval to change the traffic pattern or to operate the roadway. So I'll work out the details on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that it, Don?
That's it.
Okay.
One issue. Mark Pelosi with Silvestri Architects, I'm just correct.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. No, it's not for resident statements, that'll come at the end.
I just want to go back to the LMK project real quick.
Well, we're kind of past that. At the end, you can bring it up again.
Okay.
Okay?
At legal, there was another issue that came up with LMK legal.
Okay, we'll do it under legal, okay? So we'll call you back up at
Are
legal.
you referring to the public hearing?
Yeah, I just asked that the town board recommend.
Right, yeah, we're gonna take
Sure.
care of that. Okay, Supervisor Broderick, liaison report, we'll go right to it then, legal.
That's it.
We're back.
Put me on the spot.
Can we get back in there?
So with regard to, I have 2 things under legal. With regard to LMK Realty, the town code provides for having a public hearing after submission of the final plat. The developers are anxious to move forward on this project, we're not having a work session in June, so our next meeting will be at the end of June. The developers are asking that we schedule the public hearing that's required on the final plat for June 25th. I've received assurances from them they will have the final plat in final form to our engineers by June 11th, so that our engineers have time to consider it. Then we can have the public hearing on the 25th after that submission. I don't see any issues with that. Engineering and our building department didn't have any issues with that either. So if the town board wants to make a motion to schedule a public hearing on the final plat for LMK Realty, you can make that motion for June 25th.
For the public hearing for the final plat from LMK Development.
A motion and a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, any
One
questions?
discussion. And Brian, if by some chance the documents don't come in, we can just not take any action on that night.
If the documents don't come in, there's nothing to have a public hearing on, because the public hearing is on the final plat. If the final plat isn't sufficient under our code, we can send it back to the planning board for amendment of the preliminary plat. Our code provides for that as well, although I'm assured by the developers they're going to have the issues that the planning board had that are detailed in the letters that were mentioned earlier are going to be taken care of, and they'll be taken care of by the 11th for our engineering review.
Okay. Any other questions?
6 o'clock.
Well, yes, we have a motion and a second for a public hearing on June 25th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.